building the kind of nation that we desire is possible. All we need are people who know what to do. So can we invite people to join in so that we get to know what to do? We listen and hear how the systems, the dynamics works and how the approach works. And this will help us a lot. At this point, I am yielding the mic to Dima Nwobi. Dima, are you here? To Dima Nwobi for the opening speech. Hi, Dima. Good afternoon.
Hello, Ebu. Thank you so much for that great startup. And I'm joining from Lagos, Nigeria. So it is good afternoon from my end to everyone who is here. And it's so heartwarming to know that we have people joining from all over the globe, from Europe, from North America, from Asia, and other African countries. And it's interesting because today's topic for this public lecture is the family systems approach to building inclusive societies. And I just thought to myself, one umbrella body that is responsible for bringing humanity together is the United Nations. And they have a vision for inclusive society. So I went online to check it, and my heart was even warmer, because it's more like UN should just come and take us from the Institute of Family Engineering and Development to show them a model that works and continues to work in helping them meet the vision for inclusive society. So from that document, according to the UN, an inclusive society is a society that overrides differences of race, gender, class, generation, and geography, and ensures inclusion, equality of opportunity, as well as capabilities of all members of the society to determine an agreed set of social institutions. And it's just so spot on when you juxtapose it with what the family systems approach is all about. Because family systems approach, it's that methodological approach that seeks to, study the variables that is responsible for why people act the way they do and why they act the way they do not act, that makes them who they are, that gives them the sense of well-being that they have, how they are functioning, which also ripples to their families and, of course, to the society at large. So any move for inclusiveness that does not take into cognizance families and how individuals in the families are raised, how they are engineered, will just be beating around the bush and kind of putting the cart before the horse. So that's why I'm happy about today's engagement to talk about what is that approach that can really help us to help people understand themselves. Because if we take it from mainstream psychology, we know that everybody is born like an empty slate. We come into the world with no pre-notions of anything or no preconceived perspectives. But then how do we gain the perspective we have to life? It is first starting from our homes, where we were raised. The first people who handled us, our parents, our caregivers, our siblings, and then it spirals to the society. Things that happen in your neighborhood, the things that happen in our communities, the things that happen in the social institutions we find ourselves in, like schools, like churches, like other religious bodies, and then, of course, the things that happen in our life as experiences and the meanings that we give to it. So I'm excited to have all of us here today because we know that there are no really disempowered people, as it were. Everyone is whole, nobody needs fixing, but it's just that we have not yet come to a full awareness of how we were scripted and the systems that are running us. So if you're here and you're passionate about inclusive societies, you're passionate about, is there a template that helps people not to see color, that helps people not to see gender, that helps people not even to be limited by geography, but rather to look at a human being, being humanity-oriented, looking at that human being, their capabilities, their abilities, and harnessing them together so that everyone feels a sense of belonging and inclusiveness. I will tell you, it is the family systems engineering approach. So sit back. And I'm hoping that as you engage with us today, not only will your personal harmony be enhanced, you will also see how the individuals in your families have contributed to the marriage and family harmony in your homes, and ultimately how all of us, when we first understand ourselves, our scripting, we can now work together in whatever social strata we find ourselves to co-create a script that has a predetermined outcome, such as inclusiveness. And then together, if all of us are applying this in our homes, in our schools, in our organizations, I tell you, that is one way that humanity can come together with a sense of peace, a sense of harmony, and we all together, working with the UN, can achieve that vision of creating more inclusive societies. So please stay on with us with an open mind, engage, ask questions, and I must tell you at the end of today, if you are not yet in the family systems engineering family, you would have one more reason why you should join that family, because together we are stronger together and we can all build a more inclusive society when we tap into each other's strengths and capabilities. On that note, as the Director of Studies at the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, I say welcome to today's public lecture, and I hope you have a really engaging and rewarding experience. Back to you, Eboluwa.
Thank you very much, Dima. That was a beautiful and powerful opening remark and the welcome address. And thank you for making it so brief. Thank you so much. Okay, so today I have a main speaker. Then I have two people that will join him as panelists. And I'm going to read the profile of our main speaker. We have Mr. Praise Fowowe. Praise Fowowe is an unconventional thinker, futurist, and premier creator and trainer of family systems engineering, a body of knowledge that assists families build systems that support their happiness and assist family life coaches across the globe improve their diagnostic tools and intervention management. Regarded as the father of family systems engineering, Praise Fowowe has pioneered an entire sector and trained some of the finest family life coaches across the continent of Africa. An internationally acclaimed family life strategist with 18 years track record of transforming some of the most difficult families, Praise works with HNIS across various cultures on 5 continents and consults for various governments on the family systems engineering approach to build a sustainable society. Praise is a member of the Family Life Coaching Association, USA, and International Association of Marriage and Family Counselors, IAMFC. Ladies and gentlemen, men and women that are in the house, I want you to put your hands together as we welcome Mr. Praise Fowowe as he takes the guest speaker's speech. After that, we'll come up with the panelists and I will be introducing the panelists. Guys, Dima said it, get ready with your questions and please let us interact. Are you welcoming Mr. Praise Fowowe in the chat box? Hi, PF.
Hey, Hemo, how are you? Good
I'm
morning.
good.
Good morning from here. I'm in Harvard, Texas. I know it's afternoon in Africa. So good to be here. Okay. Thank you everyone for showing up. I have about 40, 50 minutes there about to do the public lecture. Then we'll take questions or from the panel. Thank you all of you who have joined, from different parts of the world. Okay, I have been asked to speak on a topic I'm passionate about that is very, very, very dear to my heart. It's something that I live and I breathe, every time. And it's something I'm familiar with, family systems engineering approach to building an inclusive society. Now, what I've decided to do is to take it, from the simplistic format so that it's easy for us to understand. So I'm not going to be, using a lot of technical jargon that may eventually end up confusing us, because this is the trust of our work. And people who have been to our classes will know that after 13 weeks, you are still struggling to even fully grasp, this particular model. So the family system engineering approach to building an inclusive society. At the end of this presentation, you would have understood what an inclusive society is, the major characteristics of an inclusive society, the most inclusive societies in the world and their family values, the most, and our role in creating, the inclusive societies. So I am going to start with a simple definition. I'm glad Dima used the UN definition, which basically, because UN has been pushing for an inclusive society, even though lately, sometimes you wonder if it's an inclusive society we really want, or there's another agenda, that we are pushing covertly, as we push the overt of inclusive society, because it looks like there is no kind of balance. But for the purpose of this public lecture, I have defined an inclusive society as one where every individual, regardless of their background, race, religion, gender, disability, socioeconomic status, or other characteristics that might be sources of discrimination, feels valued, respected, and can fully participate in every facet of the society. Inclusivity is rooted in a belief in equality, where everyone enjoys the same rights and opportunities. And at the Institute, we always say that the problem of the world is an adult, because if you strike the word adult, you will find adultery and adulteration. And we always say that the solution is a child. Because if you put children who are less than 5 years old in a room, children who have not been poisoned or polluted by the worldview of the adult who seeks to, celebrate the difference instead of, or focus on the difference instead of the things that unite us, right? You would see children who just want to play. They don't think of race, they don't think of religion, they don't think of culture, they don't have the conversations that adults are having. I remember that many years ago, I went into a place and, I wanted help. And the first question they asked me was what my religion was. And I didn't know how that was relevant to the help I needed, right? And because I knew what would happen next, so I told them what my religion was. Then the next question was what denomination was I, right? And at that point, I had to engage them in a conversation to say, can you offer this help? And why were you asking all of this? Oh, they said we needed to know the department you belong to, whether you're one of us, so that we can help you. Right. And so that's an institution that is built on love, discriminating almost immediately and forgetting the reason why I was there. So if you look at us, we always love to look for superiority because every group claims they're superior. So consistently, especially in the continent of Africa, what we do majorly is that we isolate ourselves, even though we have a lot of things in common. So look at the last election in Nigeria, for example. During the election in Lagos State, That was when they realized that some people are from some parts of the country and some people don't belong. And these are people who pay taxes. These are people who were born in that part of the country. So you see that the leaders and the politicians, they highlight these differences as a strategy to win election when they don't really care about people. But if you look at this definition I've just given you, it says inclusivity is rooted in a belief in equality. And that's why if you check the World Population Index, the worst most countries to live in, about the worst 12 countries to live in, 10 of them are in Africa. And if you look at what is common to the worst countries to live in, all of them practice gender inequality. All of them have no priority for girl-child education, and all of them have multiple ethnic groups seeking to be the superior one. And so if you look at this concept holistically, I have reached the conclusion that there will never be a day on this planet that every one of us will be Christians or every one of us will be Muslims. In fact, I have gone further to troubleshoot and realize that I've asked the simple question: if the entire world becomes Christian, will there be peace? My answer is no, because in Nigeria, for example, the body governing Christians is the Christian Association of Nigeria, right? There is no peace and unity in there. So how can there be peace in the entire world if the entire world is Christian? If the entire world were Muslims, will there be peace? The answer is no, because if there could be peace in the entire world through Islam, you wouldn't have the terrorists, you wouldn't have the people who create chaos around the world. If the entire world were white, will there be peace? The answer is no. If we're all blacks, will there be peace? The answer is no. So if we know that none of us can solely bring peace to the world, then why are we not producing an inclusive society? You would realize that at the root of these beliefs in inequality, it's various narratives that has been scripted over time that people profit from. So people create the chaos, yet the same people stand as referee to say, we want to help you. If you are familiar with the history of African countries, go and check or go and verify, like they say in Nigeria. You will find out that if you study all the African countries individually from a dispassionate point of view, from a neutral point of view, right, and you activate your neutrality, what you will find is you will keep asking yourself, did some people intentionally put unlike minds together in a country wherein they will be fighting themselves for the rest of their lives and implode from within? Take, for instance, Benin Republic. Benin Republic has over 56 ethnic groups, as small as that country is, right? And so you have the major tribe in there at the Yoruba-speaking part, which was part of the Oyomesi. Then, yet, Benin Republic is a French-speaking country. So you want to ask yourself, how are these people supposed to grow, develop, believe in themselves, seeing themselves as one, and promote an inclusive society with the chaotic orchestration of unlike minds together? If you check Nigeria, Nigeria says there are over 250 to 300 ethnic groups. How did we get here? We're not even sure the accurate number of ethnic groups in there. So you see consistently across African countries why gender inequality is a mainstay, because the business is in the highlighting the differences and creating chaos. Even United Nations, I always worry that how come since United Nations was instituted, there's been more wars in the world than peace? What exactly is going on? So inclusive society is possible. However, it cannot be possible when the various interest groups are not taken into cognizance in forging a common front. Now, there are elements of inclusive society that we need to be aware of. Number one, an inclusive society, there is equal opportunity. Equal opportunities means that, anybody, the son of anybody can become anything. But if you look at many African countries, you can't even become a local government chairman, if you don't know someone, if you don't even have money. Even if you have money, there's no guarantee that you can contest. I live in Irving, Texas. My mayor was in a meeting with us last week, and I walked up to him. I've met him 2 weeks prior to that time. It was just very simple. There was no policeman around him. Even the superintendent of police was around. I walked up to the 2 of them. I was telling them, the values that could bring from the family life dynamics, and he was so excited about it. And he handed me over to the person in charge almost immediately, right? And as I left the meeting, I kept thinking back home, what will it take me to meet a local government chairman who is a God unto himself, who sees himself as superior when actually it's taxpayers' money they're funding? So equal opportunities, diversity and representation, that there will always be people. And that's why for every group I belong to, I hate for us to highlight the cultural differences or tribal differences. Dima Nwobi is the director of study at the Institute. Dima is one of my closest friends. You won't even know that Dima is from a different cultural orientation from me, because we do not talk about that. We think humanity, diversity, and representation, right? Many of us love the people who look like us, who believe what we believe, and we cannot stand people who have a contrary opinion. Access and accommodation is another thing that makes for an inclusive society. Right? Respect and tolerance. You know that many of us don't even have respect for the people under us, yet we complain about people above us. If you check the people under us, they are complaining terribly about us, right? Because we do not have respect. We are respecters of person. We do not have respect as core values, and we do not tolerate contrary opinion. If your child wakes up today and says to you, mommy, this is what I believe. I don't want to follow your religion. I want to go and join another religion. What are you going to be? What's going to be your response, right? I know all that is likely going to let loose. You are first going to beat what he's saying out of him, or call the entire world to come and appeal to him before his madness enters the market, right? In your worldview, right? Legislation and protection. That in inclusive society, there are laws that protect everyone, right? So there are constitutions. Even though in many African countries, there are human beings who are above the law, above the constitution. So I always say, for example, when we talk about gender-based violence and rape in Nigeria, I've always asked them, how come all the people that are prosecuted are poor people and low lives that nobody knows? Right? How are we saying that all the top people, all the ex-governors, none of them has raped anybody before? Right? And so one day at the meeting, in a particular state in Nigeria, they say, oh, we have zero tolerance for rape and gender-based violence. So I asked the question, the deputy governor was on seat. So I asked, what if the governor is accused of rape, right? Will any of us carry placard and say zero tolerance, for gender-based violence? The room went silent. Of course, nobody could answer the question. At the end of the meeting, the deputy governor called me and scolded me terribly and said to me, never in your life must you ask that question in a meeting. But that's where you start from. Education and awareness. That in an inclusive society, there must be education, there must be awareness, economic inclusion, that we can't exclude a group of people. In America, for example, you have the welfare stores, you have food banks where people don't have food. In fact, if you go to the food bank, because we volunteered there sometimes, you would see people with big cars, right, coming to take free food, and you're asking yourself, but these people are supposed to be well-to-do. But in America, you can actually drive big cars because the system allows you to pay little by little, for so many years, right? So, and Walmart says that our mission is to make affordable to the poor what the rich can afford, right? So it means that whatever level you're in, at least you will be fine and you can live well. Then active participation, that people should be able to actively participate in whatever they want to. Then social cohesion, these are all the things that make up an inclusive society. Now, remember the topic is the family system engineering approach to creating an inclusive society. Now, I have explained inclusivity. What is family systems engineering approach? Family system engineering is the study of the system responsible for human development and how it affects the family and the society at large. It's the study of the systems that govern human behavior and how we can alter the system to infuse a new code that automatically creates a predetermined future, which restores love and peace to the society from the family. The study is a thought process that takes a look into how the structure, frames, and systems of families affect the products of the family and how their deployment into the society ultimately affects the quality of the society. So what family system engineering seeks to study is how did this adult emerge? What system raised him? if he had been properly raised by the system, he would have become a better person. So he looks at the leadership in African countries and is asking, this leader who never listens to the populace, how did he emerge? What family raised him? And what it's saying is that if we infuse the right code into various families, since the family is the most important nation on earth and everybody passes through a family, if the family treats them well, scripts them well, from an humanity point of view, when they get into leadership, then they will have empathy and they will understand the leadership is stewardship and not a place where you are a king and everybody bows to you. That is what the family system engineering seeks to understand and study. Now, if we have a lot of gender inequality and uninclusive societies in Africa, family system engineering is saying that wherever there is chaos, you don't condemn. You first go there. You want to find out what the root cause analysis are. What are the various interest groups? Then can we build a system that can bypass conscious resistance and bring everyone together to pursue a collective vision that can serve the best interest of everyone? So family systems engineering combines family, systems, and engineering of the human mind. Now, the system part of it must bypass conscious resistance and script a people in a predictable manner such that you can now have a sustainable and an inclusive society. It presupposes the family as the most important nation on earth. And so that's why there are several templates within the family system engineering that you can use to bring peace to any chaotic society, including marriages and societies. Now, I looked up the top inclusive societies and family values around the world to be able to juxtapose how the family systems has helped improve inclusivity in the nation. Now, Canada is the most inclusive society in the world as of 2021. The data for 2023 is not out. And in the Canadian families, there are two core values, diversity and equality. So when you get into Canada, you will see this at play all the time. You can be anything, irrespective of who you are, and they've defended that. Even though sometimes I feel maybe they have gone to another extreme, but that's Canada. Sweden is another inclusive society. In fact, it's interesting to note that on the list of the top 10, 12 inclusive family societies in the world, the Scandinavian countries are present in there. Why? Because Scandinavian countries are the ones who prioritize family the most. Sweden, the family values, two core family values for every Swedish family are support and solidarity. The interesting thing is, for all these countries, you realize that they have a dominant group, then they have a few minorities, right? And so you realize that it becomes very easy because they have uniformity of language, uniformity of worldview, and uniformity of values that everyone promotes. Norway have three family values: equality, independence, and responsibilities. Finland believes absolutely in gender equality. In fact, I think they have the most gender balanced, they're the most gender balanced society in the world. Now, of course, you know the Finnish educational system and how they respect the child. Now, New Zealand believes in community respect and courtesy. Netherlands believe in solidarity, friendship, and support, right? Denmark, which used to be the happiest society in the world. Denmark is the place where you get paternity leave if your wife is pregnant and you are paid for your paternity leave. Denmark is that place where you can leave a child in the street square and people watch over the child. So there are no cases of kidnapping. So you have punctuality, planning, and responsibility. Germany, right, has equality, mutual trust, and freedom. Australia is another inclusive society. They have independence, freedom, and support. Then Switzerland, affection, hard work, and diversity. I was even surprised that America did not make the top 20, the top 10 thereabout, right? Of course, if America did not make the top 12, you'd wonder where Ghana is going to be, where Nigeria is going to be, where Togo is going to be, where where we fight ourselves over, you are tall, you are short, you are light, you are dark, you are Christian, you are Muslim, you are Oboni, you are this, you are that, and we fight over things that are not relevant, that we are so fixated on pushing our own brand. You go to heaven, you don't go to heaven. I'm second in command to God, you are the third in command to God, second in command from the pit of hell. And funny narratives that at the end of the day, we have lost a sense of humanity. If you are still here with me, can you type yes? Let me see if you guys are following me. Okay, let me be sure. Okay, fantastic. Looks like you guys are still here. Now, when it comes to building an inclusive society, there are 3 pillars of strategy that the family systems engineering looks at. We call it the triangle of life. And what it says is, if you come with the methodology to any chaotic society or any unpleasant family situation, you want to find out what results do they want? What outcomes does everybody want? Which means you have to listen attentively, actively to everyone to know what it is they are saying. Now, if you see what they're saying and you can align their result, then you want to go into what beliefs must they have that can promote the result they seek. So at this point, it's no longer about what we want, it's about what we need that can produce this outcome. Then once you align those two, you want to go to the action point and I'll say, what rituals and routine must we bind ourselves by that can promote the outcome we want? This is usually the most difficult part because that would mean that you need to change. Now, so the systems intelligence comes into play here if you are the professional working with them, because you now have to be skilled to deploy the overt and the covert systems intelligence model. What does that mean? During election, politicians use this a lot. No politician has ever come out and say, when I get to power, I'm going to steal money. My children are going to be in power. I'm going to steal you guys dry and I will never listen to you. No. What do politicians say? They don't tell you the covert of what they want to do. They tell you the overt. Overt must meet the selfish interest of the recipient. We will build you roads. We will get you on uninterrupted power supply. You know, Lagos, we will make you center of excellence. But we will do, they promise what, from a reasonable point of view, you know, can never be achieved in 4 years. But you buy into it, you get excited. Our own man is in the power right now. It's our turn, our local. You know, we go in there, you know, believing several hopes, and even the mantra says it. They give us hope, everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to work. Renewed hope, and we believe them. They themselves are not even convinced. They are even surprised that the people believe what they are scripting. But that is overt, which advertising companies use all the time. I always say to people that if I come to you and I'm selling a drink and I say, this drink is 25 cube drink, sugar, 25 cubes of sugar is there. If you drink it, you have diabetes, you may likely die young, nobody's going to buy. But if I put it in a bottle and I make it sweat and I put Coca-Cola, so refreshing, of course, everybody's going to buy. But I am selling the same thing, but I am scripting different narrative. Now, an inclusive society is often a journey that makes us give up what we want for what we all need, that promotes the wellness of all of us. Now, I'm going to be doing a case study, so that you can fully understand what I'm talking about. I work with an non-inclusive society in a family that we'll call a man with multiple wives. Now, I don't like labeling, so I would have said a polygamous family, but you know what I'm talking about. Mr. Ibrahim's family had become chaotic because of his several fights between himself and his 4 wives. With 17 children living in a 5-bedroom house, life had become difficult and home is constantly a war front. He's seeking for an inclusive family. This was a case I personally handled, and this case maybe took me about 1.5 years or something to crack and to bring that family to a state of inclusiveness and to a state of peace, because a family is a society already. The products from the family are going to get into society. What we call bad society is the aggregation of several bad families or badly scripted families. Let me not say bad families, because that will be also generalization and labeling, right? So when a family is not properly scripted, you can see a chaotic society. So this guy had married 4 wives, had 17 children, right? And so everyone is always fighting everyone. The first wife wants to be the only one. The second wife wants to be the chosen one. The new wife wants to be so everybody, there are shenanigans, the children. So in that family, for example, if you are eating your food and you went to the restroom, by the time you came back, you must not eat it because your mother's warned you not to eat the food because someone may have poisoned the food. That was the situation of things. So what did we do? I am going to be answering the question, how can we build an inclusive society with a family system engineering using what I did with that family? The first thing we need to do using the family system engineering approach in building an inclusive society is to deploy a data-driven psychometry. What does that mean? You want to, as a professional, whatever society you find yourself, don't join people to label or say, this is what is wrong. I know what is wrong with Nigeria. I know what is wrong with Ghana. You have no clue. What you think the problem is not the problem. In fact, I always say to people that, the chaos is the real business in Nigeria, for example, that people profit from the chaos. For example, if traffic lights work, the 7 last man people who stand by traffic light, where would they go? So it's in their interest for the traffic not to work effectively so that they can be swinging their hand and they can be fully engaged, right? So the data-driven psychometry is a model that helps you know the current position assessment, which reveals the root cause of the issues. That's why, as professionals of family system engineering, we said that you never relate with a client without running a psychometry because you don't want to be subjective. Your data-driven psychometry will show you what they have not spoken to you about. Now, it helps you determine who you are, who others are. Right? Then you want to run a cultural compatibility and alignment because people have diverse beliefs. For example, in many African countries, many men believe that they are superior to a woman, right? And they don't even know the difference. In fact, many people teach about family, even from the pulpit, don't know the difference between a man and a husband, a woman and a wife, and they interchangeably use all these things all the time. There are gross generalization. A man is logical, a woman is emotional, even when it's not correct. The first need of the man is respect. The first need of the woman is love. I don't know where they found that from because that's not found in any research, right? But they push it and push it and push it till it becomes people's reality because in Africa, oftentimes, truth is not the truth. Truth is dependent on who says it. So if the truth is from the mouth of a prophet who is very, very ignorant, people are likely to believe it than when it's from the mouth of a scientist who is enlightened. So a data-driven psychometry helps us know what do the people want, what are the issues, what is the root cause, because sometimes the issues even predated the marriage or predated the society. So someone who has been through trauma finds himself in marriage, begins to blame the husband that he doesn't trust the husband, when actually the trauma was the fact that she doesn't trust her father. So cultural compatibility alignment, then the power of meaning, right? So for this family, data revealed the trauma, beliefs incompatibility, absence of vision in that family, and the terms of living together was not agreed upon because the power of narrative or meanings they were given is that woman is my rival instead of this woman is my teammate within this family. By the time we did this and it revealed all their results, I did a debriefing with them and it showed every problem. All of them looked at it. Then we asked, where do we need to go? And that takes me to the second thing in building an inclusive society. There must be shared vision. Shared vision is what do we all see? And everybody's vision must be incorporated within the general vision of the society. Many of the African countries do not have a vision. So if you ask, what is the vision of this family? They don't know. What is the vision of Nigeria? We do not know. What is the vision? So oftentimes, Nigeria, for example, has got leaders who are tribal leaders, not national leaders. They become president and they think first of their ethnic group as against the nation. Almost all the developed nations in the world are nationalistic in their approach. Many of the developing nations are ethnic driven, right, in their worldview. So shared vision. What do we all see? This was very tough because I had to listen to all the 17 children and the 4 wives and the man, right? Because I needed to know, what do you think? What kind of family do you want, right? What society do we all want? How is our collective desires incorporated? So we collected the collective desires of everyone in the family and made it into a uniform vision that everyone ratified. I gave them 3 samples of different vision, and they chose one, and everyone ratified one because they believed that it incorporated what everyone wanted. Interesting to note was that all of them wanted the same thing. It was just the way they were going about it was the problem, right? So, and after doing that, the third thing is that you now need to create an effective family governing system. Now, what does this mean? What you need to do in a society after knowing the root cause analysis, after creating the vision, you now need to build it on a system, because systems are not emotional. What does a governing system mean? It means the society must now have a clear vision. It must have shared values. The shared values must become a DNA creed, which is a statement that incorporated the collective values and govern human behavior. Then they must have the legends of their family, right? And this legend is so interesting and so important, because oftentimes the moment your story, you don't have a story or you don't have a legend for your family or for a society, there is nothing to pass down, your identity will be lost. When you meet an Indian, they will tell you about their idols. They will tell you about their ancestry. When you meet the Jews will tell you about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When you meet a Nigerian, what are they going to tell you about? They don't even know. They don't know the story of their great-grandfather, their great-great-grandfather. We were having a session like this in a group, and I asked everyone to go back to their genealogy to find their story. And there was a lady there who went back and found out that her great-great-grandfather was, the man left his staff, and that the man was a slave trader who forcefully collected people's wives. And, there was a slave who was in love with our brother, his daughter, and he killed the slave. Now, that story was not a pleasant story from her perspective, and so nobody passed it down. But by the time we're working with her, I said, can you look at that story again after that wall then? Because you cannot blame people for the rules of engagement that happened in their dispensation. Now, slave trade means that the man was industrious, means he was an entrepreneur, and it also means that the man was a tough negotiator. Now, that's one. So it means that in that lineage, industry was there, innovation was there. Capacity to snatch somebody's wife forcefully showed a man who can take territories. So the principle there is this man can take territories. He can actually build a business that goes beyond his immediate territory. Now, the man who killed because somebody fell in love showed protection. Right, by the time we reframe the story of the family chain, someone crafted the story and it became a new legend. Right. So many African countries, there is no shared story. So in Nigeria, for example, the Igbo is going to tell you about the Biafra, the Yorubas will tell you about some Awolowo, so there is no nexus of fusing the stories together. Then in this, you create the routines and the rituals. What are we going to be doing daily? What will we do weekly? What will we do monthly? What will we do quarterly? What will we do annually? Now, the Indians have it. You see them do the Diwali. Everywhere across the globe, they celebrate it. And they have various festivals like that. So you want to put all these things in place and help them review it. Then you create a constitution. Because without rules and regulation, things are going to go, bad. So in family system engineering, we have family systems engineering constitution, which is how do we live together? For example, in my family, I can take a second wife. However, to take a second wife, we have to call what we call a family constitutional review meeting. And so the motion will be daddy wants to take a second wife. The eligible voters will be my wife and 2 children. Majority must carry the vote. So how am I going to win that election? So you want to create a constitution that binds people, because without a proper constitution, many people have been messed up in their marriage. The guy just wakes up one day and takes a decision that affects everybody, and he doesn't care because the terms of engagement has not been scripted, right? Then the marital formations must be decided. So we created a family governing system and work with everyone to promote uniform values and prioritize family routines. The next thing we did is that you must do is efficient systems building and modeling. Without a clear-cut system with clear expectation and consequences, the strong will trample on the weak. All inclusive society promote the rule of law. So in that family of Mr. Ibrahim, we started with the governing system. We move to the communication system. How must we talk in this family? How must we address ourselves? How must we handle pent-up emotion? We got into the security and immigration system. Who can come and live with us? What are the terms of living with us? How, in fact, we created a family work handbook that anybody coming to live will read it and will take them trade. Our family economy, how must we spend? The 4 wives, 2 of them were not working. We had to find out what can they do. Can they do business? And they have to start working so that they can contribute to the collective pool of the family. Then the domestic management system. How do we set up our environment to reflect our vision, right? So if you go to China, nobody will tell you are in China. You could see the sign. Go to Japan. The structuring of the house says a lot. Then the entertainment and recreational system. How do we ensure that our recreation and entertainment does not affect our neighbor, our culture integration, family education? How do we want to think? And what must we imbibe? So this was where we created Book of the Month for everyone. So they will read the Book of the Month, Movie of the Month, and they will review it together. Then family health and wellness. How do we want to eat? What must we eat? What must we not eat? Then our legacy. What do we want this family to be known for? That was what we did. So we built a system every month across 11 months. Then the next thing that you now must take cognizance of, flexibility and adaptability. You need to proactively anticipate change and plan your adaptation script, because things can go wrong, things can go bad. So we created a reconciliation option. We will hurt ourselves. We will sometimes go against ourselves, but how must we resolve it? So we created Open Day. Open Day is once a week. Everyone is free to say whatever they want to say, the way they want to say it. The rule is nobody gets angry. Whatever I said cannot be used against the person that said it. If what is said is significant, you need to change, right? And so we put those rules in place, and we created a forum where pent-up emotions are released in a non-judgmental zone. So we took cognizance of there may be new trends and reinvention, but the most important principles of the family must not change. Then diversity management using brand of car models, personality models. So there is this thing in family systems called the brand of car personality models, which helps you know whether your family member is an intimidating Oma, is a creative convertible, is a dependable truck, or a systematic 4. With those 4, you know their tendencies. You know how they're going to respond to issues at every point in time. Then lastly there, we created a continuous development and cultural evolution, because we know that things will not always be as it seems. Things will change. So we created a perceptual code. Every child, everybody in Mr. Ibrahim's family is dash. What is that dash? They said that dash is world changer for them, right? So that was what everybody saw. So the sight and sound, the music they play, the movies they play, the messages they listen to resonated with their perceptual code. So a personal development was instituted with videos and books of the month, which elicited discussion and group growth. So we built teams within that family that every team is made up of the different wives. So they're working together, competing and winning prizes every month, right? And that fostered team work, and everybody began to work towards the family vision. Now, with that, we were able to restore inclusivity into that family. And it's the same model you can deploy in any society. So we say it takes a village to raise a child, but the first village is the family. Without a structured village culture, a compromised village, we raise a compromised time bomb. Imagine if we didn't do that work in Mr. Ibrahim's family, they would have gone into the society and created a lot of chaos. So a child will leave that place and become a tyrant. And people will say it's a bad leader, not knowing that trauma was induced in him as a child. So the almighty formula for creating an inclusive society using family system engineering approach from all I've said is that every society must ask, regardless of how many groups make up the society, what society do we want? Do we want a successful society or a society of crooks? Once that answer is given, what must we believe about our identity? So the issue of identity and who we are must be resolved. Then who must we become and what actions must we embrace to produce this outcome? So we create activities, regular project systems that move us in the direction of the outcome we want. Guys, the most important nation on earth remains the family, because the family is the production factory of the society. So I say, finally, that your family is a nation that reflects the reality of the people And an inclusive society can start with your family. Once you re-engineer your people to see, they must see it, they must promote it, they must know that everybody cannot be like you, right? There will be people who run their mouth, there will be introverts, there will be people who will jump up, who want to dance, but everything must be done within the confines of the vision we want to pursue together. As long as it's taking us in the direction of the end we want, we're good, right? I don't have to pray the way you pray. I don't have to sing the way you sing. I don't even have to attend where you attend, right? But as long as you can see that my intentions are noble and I've subscribed to a vision, I think I'm fine, right? Once we do this, then, and we have the right people, then it can be spread to other families. These are my references for this public lecture, but I want to appreciate the Institute for the opportunity to share the family system engineering approach to creating an inclusive society. I hope you have learned something. I'll take your questions during the panel session. Thank you very much, Ebulomo, and thank you once again, the Institute, for having this conversation. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you, PF. Guys, I'm looking forward to the responses in the chat box. That is amazing. That's PF taking it all over again. It sounds so new again, and that is what the family systems approach is all about. The family is the production factory of the society. Can you imagine that? So if family A, B, C, in your social studies, we said family is the smallest unit of the society. If the family is doing well, then it will reflect in the society. And thank you very much for those illustrative examples you gave. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that will not waste your time. We move on to the panel. Yeah, I can see in the chat box, very refreshing, informative, impressive. Thank you, PF, always on point, Thank you, PF. Thank you very much. I honor you. So if you are being selfish and you have not shared this to your friends, or wrong now, please, can you send the link to this meeting? Now you have an idea of where this conversation is going. Now you know what we are talking about. Can you please, at this point, click on the link and share on your church platform, on your NASFAT group, on your office group. Let people come in and learn. I'm sure you know that it's been an instructive and informative one so far. So I want to, at this point, set up the panel. We already have people, and I'm going to call and read their profile. I have Seun Afolayan as one of the panelists. Admin, can you please spotlight Seun Afolayan? Seun Afolayan is currently the deputy resident pastor of the Elevation Church, Lekki Express, Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria. He is also the global head of Membership Purpose, where he oversees the family life ministry of the church, along with other functions. Seun Afolayan has been a speaker, counselor, mentor, pastor for over 20 years. He's a licensed relationship and family life coach and therapist, and a popular social media content creator, widely known as the Bliss Catalyst, a platform through which he offers insightful advice on strengthening marital bonds and enjoying fulfilling relationship. Seun is a graduate of the Federal University of Technology in Akure and holds a master's degree in business administration from the Lagos Business School. Seun acquired almost a decade's experience in the financial services sector before switching to full-time pastoral ministry. His happily married to Ololade for 10 years, and they have 2 lovely girls. Thank you for joining us, Pastor Sheon Afolayan. Nice to see you here.
Thank you, Evan, for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here in Lagos, so it's afternoon here. And thanks for the wonderful delivery, PF, as usual, and everyone putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the second person that will be joining us on this panel is Mrs. Modupe Ehirim. Modupe Ehirim, the founder of and lead counselor at the Right Fit Family Academy, works with men and women to become persons that their spouses look forward to coming home to. Using the Right Fit Marriage Program, Modupe Ehirim guides young professionals to intentionally design and build healthy and long-lasting marriages. She is a certified Save Your Marriage Before It Starts facilitator. The Save Your Marriage Before It Starts assessment gives you a personalized roadmap to making your marriage everything it was meant to be. Modupe Ehirim is also a certified family systems engineering practitioner. The network of family systems engineering practitioner comprises of professionals who work to restore dignity to human relationships in marriage, parenting, and family life. Modupe Ehirim has varied experiences. She graduated with first-class honors in chemical engineering from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, in 1980. She then worked with the Central Bank of Nigeria, building and engineering services for 17 years before setting up a specialty retail bookshop business, which she operated for 13 years. Modupe has served on the national executive committees of 2 business membership organizations. That is the Christian Booksellers Association of Nigeria and NECA's Network of Entrepreneurial Women. She is currently a member of the board of Oasis International, publishers of the Africa Study Bible, and chair board of the Africa Speakers 2018 Trust. Modupe, an avid reader, is passionate about relationships and marriages. She mentors young people, helping them to chart their life's path. She teaches on marriage topics daily in the Right Fit Marriage Academy, a Facebook community that currently has about 19,000 members. She's also the counselor on the popular weekly relationship and marriage show, Mama's Corner, and on Wazobia 95.1 FM radio. She is the author of Marriage is Not a Trap and 30 Reasons Why Couples Quarrel About Money. Of Yoruba origin, she is happily married to Boniface, a husband of over 37 years, who is of Igbo origin. Together, they have 4 lovely children. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ehirim.
Thank you for having me, Evan.
Thank you so much for choosing to do this with us. Guys, I have not seen you greet our panelists. It's going to be a hot seat this afternoon, and we're going to be talking about the family systems engineering, how our panelists are using it, and what's the results they are getting. And just listen, and please get ready with your questions. I want you to remember to also communicate with us on the chat box. Drop your questions, and I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful ride this evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you're joining from. Admin, can you please spotlight PF so that I can have everybody on the panel together? Thank you. Awesome. All right. So we start this. Guys, I'm expecting your questions, but I have some questions here that I will be asking the panelists. And I'm going to start with PF. Thank you, PF, for that lecture. But I want to ask you, can you provide examples of specific challenges or instances of tribalism, racism you've encountered during the election and EdSAS period, and how the family systems approach has been effective in addressing them?
Okay, so I would not say that I've been directly involved. I'll say that I saw them in the news, and I observed, right? Because I mean I was not on the spot. However, I mean, I saw the one that happened during election, and one of the things I think we almost did after the election was over was I knew that a lot of people were hurting, right? And so to organize a healing class where we wanted to hear what people had to say and what was going through their mind and all, and so we're able to provide clarity on what was happening. Now, but if you're asking me, how can we deploy family system to solve that problem? Right, we believe that we first need to listen to people. You can't bully people. Nobody just wakes up and goes out and says something must stop. Right, there is no smoke without fire. That's what people will say. Right, so you want to listen. Again, when I was speaking, I talked about root cause analysis. What I could see during EdSAS and maybe during the last election is that there is an intergenerational war. Right, there's a generation that feels that the older generation have failed them. Right, I remember growing up, my mom would tell me the story of when they were in school. I'm sure Mommy Mo, I mean, and it's good to see Mommy Mo, you're looking beautiful as usual, and Pastor Shell. Right, their generation, they would tell us that when they were in University of Ife, my mom was in University of Ife, that when they served you food, you drop your ticket and the whole chicken is given to you. Right, so it was almost as if that generation ate everything, right, and left us with nothing. Right, but we took responsibility for our generation, but the younger generation don't have that worldview at all, right? And so there is a limit to every human endurance. And so what I was expecting, if I were in the position to advise the governor, right, would have been to go in there, stay with them, especially, nobody knows the shooting and the real story up till now, right, is to stay with them and say, I understand your pain. Right, we're going to do something. Can you appoint people among yourself? Let's go in for a meeting, right? And people want to see that they can trust you. So if I look at everything that happens from a family engineering perspective, I would say that trust has been betrayed. So people no longer trust their leadership because they are promised several times. It's like you have a lover who has given you promises upon promises and never shows up, right? So if he says this year, I'm going to take you to Hawaii for your birthday. You waited, it didn't show up. Next year, I'm going to take you. By the 5th year, if he shows up, you will stick to pursue him. That's the human response. And you cannot blame someone who is grieving for how he is grieving. All right. And so it's to understand that we deserve it. Right. Whatever you train at us, it's like infidelity. A man has cheated on the woman, and the woman is saying all sorts of things, and you say your own is too much. No, you can't say our own is too much. Your immediate response is whatever is thrown at you, you deserve it. So don't even try to fight back till she's ready, right? And that wasn't done. So I think that if we were to apply the family system engineering model, we would have said, invite them, listen to them, right? And then we also listen to you. Why have you not been able to do what you have promised? Maybe there's trauma in your life. Take you to a place of healing, do part integration, get the young people involved, and I say, okay, we're going to build this Lagos together, or we're going to do this together. Okay, so what exactly do you want? If you know that, then we incorporate it to a clear vision, and we can track the deliverables and monitor. Basically, that's systems intelligence, and that's what I think could have been done, to avert what has now become a free-for-all fight on social media.
So avert what has become a free fight on the social media. PF, I remember. So guys, PF is saying that if you know any of those people, anybody, I think one of the requirements, if you want to go into politics, is to take family systems engineering, because it will help you see things differently and understand. Instead of coming up, PF said they should listen to the people. Instead of coming out, say, please, can we snap out of this October 20th thing and let's move on? You know, that's somebody saying people should snap out of saying that they lost their friends, they love their loved ones, send them to just snap out of it just like that and let's move on. You know, but if you have the knowledge of family systems engineering, see, the definition of what a family is just captures it all, and it will help you see the need. By the time you go through all those things, you understand what family systems engineering approach is all about. Thank you very much, PF. The next question goes to Pastor Sheun Afolayan. Pastor Sheun Afolayan, I know that you relate with a number of people, the systems and structures in place. So in your experience with the family life unit at the Elevation Church, could you describe how the family systems approach has contributed to fostering unity among diverse members of that society, of that community? And are there particular strategies that has proven effective? Just share with us, and just to enlighten people and help us know how well this approach is working.
Okay, thank you, Evan. I mean, for us at the Elevation Church where I serve, family system engineering has become almost like our second Bible. Because for us, it's not just a body of knowledge, it's a way of thinking, it's a mentality, it's a perspective, and it's a paradigm shifting perspective. You know, every church and every pastor has, well, let me not say every pastor, almost all pastors have good intentions, and then almost every church has great leaders who wants to serve and help people. But you and I sadly have listened to stories of people who have been totally damaged by pastors, by counselors who really mean well, because good intention is simply not enough. You have to be equipped with the right tools to make the right impact in the life of the people. For us as a church, we are a church that, my church is very passionate about family. Our global lead pastor himself is a seasoned family life coach. So taking from that kind of passion, we do a lot for families. But when we introduced the family system engineering to our counselors and to our leaders, it was just a game changer. One of the things he was able to help us to do was this, wherein in time past, when we sit down to say, okay, what do we want to do as a church, and different ideas are flying, and sometimes people present ideas that look great, but can't deliver the value. We find that these days, because we have a lot of people who have been trained, people are able to think in the same direction, and we're able to have a unified vision about what our families are able to, about what we should be doing as a family life system, people within the church. And that makes for a very cohesive and strong team that is able to make impact. Another thing that we've also seen as the effect of FSEC on us as a church is how we have been able to help people who otherwise have their prejudices against Christian counseling and Christian guidance. You know, sometimes people think, oh, if you talk to a pastor, they're just going to tell you that it's just going to be a blame game. They're going to read the Bible to you and tell you this is what the Bible says. Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? They think it's just, that's why a lot of people run away from talking to pastors. But our trained counselors are able to engage people beyond and move past these prejudices in a manner that people who are not, who are still afraid of talking to pastor, they find that they are completely open, because you are talking to someone who can sit in your shoe and understand what you are feeling as a human being. That has been, and I've seen so many, testimonies of people who said, oh, I needed counseling, I don't know where to go. And somebody said, call the Elevation Church helpline. And I called the line, and I was surprised at the quality of the counseling that I got. And it was through that counseling that I've become a member of the church. At least in the last 1 month, I have at least 2 people who have spoken to me like that. And that is not only me, and that is happening a lot. So for us, family system has become one of our offerings, not just for our church members, but even for the society at large. And beyond that is also how, anybody who has taken the family system engineering, you know that it will first of all transform you before you will be able to transform other people. So when our family life counselors sit, people are able to deal with matters that they've sat on for decades and are able to come out of it with testimonies. And of course, when you've experienced something and it has transformed you, you are able to sell it with passion, you're able to transform other people. So that kind of impact, that depth of, of impact is what we're experiencing as counselors ourselves, and it equips us to be able to make the difference, that we are making and will continue to make in partnership with Family System Engineering.
Awesome. Pastor Sheon said Family Systems Engineering approach has become their way of thinking in the church. And he said something very profound, saying that assuming that every pastor or church owners have the good intention in mind, and this is calling on to everyone that works in the ministry, either as pastor, imam. Family Systems approach will make the work easier for you. It will first of all help transform you. We all know that you can't give what you don't have. And by the time you're transformed, the work becomes easier for you and you're able to help every other person. And he also mentioned that it helps take away the prejudice. It will first of all heal you of all the prejudice, and you are able to approach and embrace every problem brought to you with ease. Thank you very much, Pastor Sheon, and I celebrate and appreciate the church for the beautiful things they are doing. Well done. I have a question here, and before we go past it, this question was sent to me directly. I want to read it, and the person said, how can you, PF, I want you to respond to this question. Mommy Mo, I'm coming to you, but I want us to trash some things before we forge ahead. PF, this question will come to you. How can you sustain the core values and vision of a Christian family, which is to raise children who will grow obeying the belief system of the scripture? So with the hope of ensuring inclusiveness, when you have a child who wants to be a gay or a lesbian, and the child is telling you that the vision of the Christian family must include his or her own belief system. We all know what's happening now, and life is evolving. That's what I tell people. Life is evolving. Are we supposed to, in this direction, also evolve and evolve the scripture too? Thank you, Pierre.
Okay, so this person is a Christian family, and I must first say that the vision of the family is first crafted by husband and wife. Now, never forget that Dima said something when we started, that when a child is born, the tabula rasa is plain, right? And so literally, when a child is placed in your hand, for lack, I don't want to use, you can turn the child into a genius and you can turn the child into a zombie, right? And so if you understand that, right, the beliefs that is put in the child from birth, if you were intentional about it, we won't even get to this state where somebody begins to say, I want to, right? Because they say, train up a child in the way, and I'm speaking because you are a Christian, right? Train up a child in the way he should go. When he grows old, he will not. He didn't say he will consider, right? It's like you have scripted a child as among ISIS, right? All he knew is suicide bombing. He has seen people bomb people and he's been told you need to kill yourself. You now think that child will end up at 19 as a man of God. It will never happen. Or he will now fall in love with a girl and say, because of this girl, I won't bomb myself. It's never going to happen. So if terrorists and evil people are successful, how come good people? So the challenge is, many people say they run a Christian family. And the only thing they think Christian family is we do quiet, we do morning devotion. We do evening devotion. We send the child to, we go to church. When we pray, we cover this. No. The concept of, child dedication that we copy from the Jews. But the Jews have a curriculum, right? That is a 14-year parenting curriculum that terminates at the festival called Bat Mitzvah. So when you have scripted the child in a particular light and a contrary thing happens, don't fight the child. Just ask yourself, what did we miss, right? And so having said that, however, let's even assume that the inevitable has happened. The question I always ask people is, Are you going to disown this child? Right? And what is the agitation about? Is the agitation the fact that people are going to look at your child and say, the child of a prayer warrior has now become gay? Because oftentimes our response is based on what people are going to say, not even really about us. The shame is actually what we fight, not the best interest of the child. Because the best way to approach this, again, there are a couple of realities we need to consider, is to first of all say, this is my child. Admit that, okay, there's a problem. But you don't conquer a problem by fighting the problem, right? You conquer a problem by influencing the problem. So I'm going to accept you. I'm going to love you, right? Then you now work with a professional to get to a point where you can now, because basically what the other side offers is, they offer what looks like superior love, which we know is pseudo love. So if you can outlove that other side, you can actually recover your child. And I work with people in therapy who have good stories to tell along this line, right? So if you, and your best attempt to even say, I'm going to disown you, shout and scream, it's not going to change anything, right? Your child will still be your child. So I always experienced in this, if your child, let's assume it never changes, what will you do? Are you going to kill him? Are you going to, you're not going to do anything really, right? You can only trust and pray and offer love and offer support, hoping that, the child comes to, his senses and reverts or whatever, right? And I'm glad at the rate at which the conversations are going on in America, I'm monitoring things right now. It's almost like a battle, but we are getting to a place where everybody's now saying that, have we gone too far to another extreme? Do we now need to come back to, because everybody is now trans. There are people who are now saying, I'm trans money, I'm trans this, I'm trans that, and all. And we will always get to that level. So there's nothing to worry about. However, I think the work of parenting now needs to be more intentional, right? If we have done the right thing, we won't have to even have this conversation. But when it happens, you need to ask yourself, what exactly do you want? And why are you agitated? Is it so that people don't shame you, or you really, really want the best interest of your child? Okay.
Thank you, PF. I think you have responded to that question, right? And that question is deep. PF said something that if you infuse the right gene into every member of your family, they will go out there to express. That's the only thing they know, and that's what they will express. So training up a child in the way it should go, and it will not leave there. But I said something, I said, this evolving that we are evolving, it is what is inside them that they will throw out. Even if they hear the voice of the stranger, the voice that is inside them will always bring them back. And I see somebody in the chat box saying the shame is usually about us, not the child. We're so worried about what others think of us, and we can't even help the child. Yeah, it's always about us. We need to take a step back to think about it, what's going on. That's the only way you can find a solution to whatever problem that is coming up to you. Yeah. I want to ask Mommy Mo this question. How has the family systems approach influenced the development and functioning of the Right Fit Marriage Academy? I want you to share any success story that highlights the impact on building inclusive relationship within the families, and the example from your academy. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Ebu. I'd like to go back to that last question before I answer the question. I think it's very, very important for anyone who is using the family systems engineering approach in their family to recognize that how you relate in an adult-child relationship when your child is a child is different from how you relate with your child when they are now an adult. And understanding that is going to help you significantly if you have that kind of a situation. Why? Like PF pointed out, it is highly likely that in the way that your values were passed on, something had been omitted. The first step when you are in an adult-adult relationship is to admit to yourself that perhaps there are things that you have omitted. And then you ask yourself, If another adult does not think the same way as you, and you want to persuade them, you want to help them see the wisdom of your own perspective, how will you relate to them? One weakness that people who do not fully understand the family systems engineering approach fall into is that they very quickly forget that the person they're dealing with now is an adult, and they revert to the adult child way of making people change their mind, which never ever works. So should anybody find themselves in such a situation, it will be very critical to remember that. Now, back to the question that you asked me about the Right Fit Marriage Academy. The primary way in which we have deployed the family systems engineering approach in the Right Fit Marriage Academy is actually the covert way. So if you come to the Right Fit Marriage Academy, nobody there can tell you this is the family systems engineering approach. However, in setting up the Right Fit Marriage Academy, what we looked at is that people learn how to do family, people acquire values, people acquire paradigms just by being in the company of other people. That is, when we were co-located in one village. In the village, nobody ever sat down in class and said, this is what you should do. But just by observing how older people were doing, people learned things. So what we did in the Right Fit Marriage Academy is to ask ourselves, if we're to have an inclusive community where people who have high values communicate their own values, and where people have weak values or values that we don't want to be perpetuated, how we do it. What we did was to encourage conversation and teach people to first listen to what somebody else has to say. So even though, for example, I was the founder and the leader, I never went on the pulpit to teach anybody. When I put out material, then the idea is, let us all come together and let everybody say what they think, what their perspective are. The only rules are, you do not insult somebody simply because they think differently from you. And when people put things out, your first step should be, this thing you've written, what exactly do you mean? I am thinking it means this. However, what did you intend? And I think what characterizes the success of the Get Yourself Ready for, the Right Fit Marriage Academy is when outside of that community on social media, I see members of the academy, where conversations are being raised and people are pushing one idea as arguments. And a member of the Right Fit Marriage Academy says, well, if this was the Right Fit Marriage Academy, the first thing we should do is ask questions, because what has been given to us here is not sufficient information. And for me, that really is it. For any practitioner of family systems engineering, your goal is not to make people think like you. Your goal is to make people begin to ask questions and say, why should I believe this? Why should I take this position? This person that is thinking differently from me, what exactly do they want? And it has been my joy to see. I remember when we celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary, the 5th anniversary of the founding of the Right Fit Marriage Academy, we actually said people should write letters to their partners and they should publish the letters in the group. And many women were shocked to see letters that men wrote. Why? The repeated statement that was being made in that season was that, wow, they didn't know that men had capacity to write this kind of things. And the responses the men were giving them is, how did you come about that? Perhaps the men you have met don't know how to express themselves in this way. And it was really good. We had singles writing to themselves, and I was really enthused about that, because what that was saying was that even though we said write love letters to your partners, the singles didn't feel that we were oppressing them. In fact, there was nobody who said, let the singles breathe. That meeting. Why? Because in that community, we already have helped one another to understand that we, you know, who chooses their position? No. So it's not my character that made me single. It's not my character that makes me a 40-year-old single. It's not anything I did that made me a divorced person. It's not anything. So it's not anything that makes me childless. It just is my situation, but I can be a healthy part of this community. Nothing in this community should make me feel that I am less simply because of my life's experience. And then one of the things that, you know, applying the family systems engineering principles to community like that made us begin to see was that there is a lot of deep-seated paradigms that even the people themselves are not aware of. And so putting things in that way for me as a practitioner helped me to understand better what was going on in the minds of people. And so needs that people had, we could now even begin to create programs that would address them again without saying to them something is wrong with you, but helping them to see this is a need that will make our community better. And so let's do this together. I think the highest compliment that has been paid to me as a family life practitioner is to have people who don't know me approach me and say, my friend told me that you are the person I must talk to. Which means it's not my person that is attracting them. It is the principles that have been so clearly expressed that makes them feel safe enough to talk to a total stranger and receive guidance from them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ehirim. Mrs. Ehirim has used this approach, and one thing she said that is profound is her last statement to say that people will see the difference in you. People will see the way you approach questions, the way you deal with situations, and the difference will be clear. And that will attract men onto you. I don't know that scripture now. We're talking now. Sorry, I have to talk about that. You know, that's the light. You will give that. It will just be different. All of us, we are in different communities on WhatsApp and all, and we know how people, even on social media, you see how the online counselors, the kind of advices they give and all. But when you come out, if you have that understanding of the family systems engineering, when you come out to talk, people will just know that there's something different about this person. And that is the same example Mommy Mo just gave about she noticing that even people in her community, when they interact on social media, when they pass comments on social media, you will see that these people know something. And she said that the goal is not to make people think they are nothing. The goal is to help them know that there's something inherent inside of you. And this is part of the things that the family systems engineering approach help you to bring out. Thank you very much, Mommy Mo, for that. And well done for all you do. We see it and we celebrate you. We appreciate it. There's a question here in the chat box saying that, PF, I really appreciate your response to the question. That's the question of the religious belief and all. And but my question is on the issue of inclusiveness. If we have to ensure inclusiveness, sorry, I miss it now.
Yeah, I think I've responded by charts to that question. So you might want to go to the next question.
Okay. So let me pick from the question I have, and this is also for you, PF. Could you please elaborate on how the FSC approach encourages collaboration and understanding among different groups, especially during times of heightened tension? like election, even COVID. I know that a lot of people came up with programs. Yes, thank you.
So in family system engineering, we say that couples hardly fight. It is the families that raise them, the culture of the nation they are coming from, that is at war, right? And that's why we always insist on cultural compatibility tests, not because we want to say one is superior to the other, but we want to just check alignment and understand the source of what is happening. So you see some people believe that they are superior to certain people, and you see it play out. At the root of domestic violence is that superiority complex of I am superior to you as a woman. I mean, you see it every day in Africa. You know, you board a bus, a conductor looks at you because you are a lady, says to you, I have your type at home. What exactly does that mean? You see people teach things like women are supposed to keep quiet. You know, women are supposed to submit. Meanwhile, there is no place in scripture that says women should submit. You know, it says wives submit to your own husband. You know, but when people don't understand these differences, they will project all kinds of stuff which will damage people. So what FSC says, right, when it comes to collaboration is to say, whatever you call your worldview is correct. It's your reality. For example, when I was doing research about family cultures across Africa, stumbled on a culture in Kenya where the woman is the breadwinner. The woman is the husband. Men are the ones that they marry into the woman. Some women in that culture can marry 3 husbands. In fact, there was a woman who married 3 husbands. There's a husband who resumes at 7 a.m. and stops being husband at 12 noon. Another husband resumes at 2, stops being husband at 8 p.m. Then there's one who resumes at 9 till daybreak. All right. And they are okay, they are fine, they don't enjoy divorce, there's no fight. If it's not broke, but I can't go into that culture now and project and say the Bible says what you are doing is wrong and project my worldview on them. Because number one, they may not be Christians. What they are doing is working for them, right? It's for, and that's why I always say that if you understand the 4 critical the 4 critical factors you need to successfully relate with anyone. One is acceptance. I would accept you, right? I don't have to accept your way, but I will accept you as a person. Number 2 is respect, because whatever you respect, you attract. I'm going to respect your worldview. I'm going to respect your beliefs. I'm going to respect your reality. Number 3 is understanding. And I always say that the word understanding is a construct that says stand under. Because I can't understand if I stand above you or stand apart with you. It's like stooping to conquer. That if you walk in the shoe of the person, you grew up in the culture they grew up from, you may likely be talking and thinking like them, right? And so not because you didn't go through certain things that other people have gone through, you now pride yourself to say, I mean, for example, there are things nobody had to teach me in any school. When I see people say, oh, I became, I stopped stealing when I became born again. I don't understand what they are saying because I couldn't steal because my father scripted me not to steal. It was part of the way I was raised. People say, oh, I stopped going late for meetings when I started attending this church. In my family, my father would tell you, it is arrogance for the people to be waiting for you. It is humility for you to be waiting for them. So every meeting, get there 1 hour before time. In my organization, we are there 30 minutes max before time, right? So you need to understand people, then you need to love. And love is a decision. It's not just a feeling. To add value to someone else without even expecting a thank you, right? So when you understand this, you'll be able to walk in a team and know that we may not be the same. We may not see things the same way, but are we all walking in the direction of our collective goal or collective vision, which is what is so critical, right? That whether you want to jump up and dance, but are we headed in actualizing the family goal? Once that is in place, honestly, I can take in any other thing as long as we're going to get to where we need to get to. Yeah.
We can take in anything. We can collaborate as long as you have an understanding and you have a vision, you have a focus, you know where you're going to. Thank you. And I remember PF saying something when he was talking about what's that now? Okay, I think I remember, but let's just move on. Pastor Sheon Afolayan, I want you to still talking about this family systems approach that you have used severally and you understand. We are here to help people understand this approach, to say that if they're able to understand it and embrace it, we can all work together to achieve a harmonious society. And we're asking that you share your ideas, share your experience with us. And so in the context of building the family life unit of your church, that's the Elevation Church, what role has effective communication played in implementing this FSC approach, and how has it helped you to bridge gaps within that community?
Okay, thank you, Evan. And I will just speak it up from where PF starts, which is you cannot understand anyone if you are standing above them. The word understanding already has under as part of it. You know, again, like I was sharing earlier, people run away from, you know, sometimes run away from counseling in church because they believe that the pastor is going to come and stand above them, or whoever is the counselor is going to come and stand above them and blame them and tell them exactly what to do. If you don't do it, you are finished and all of that. With the FSC approach, it gave us a much wider template for understanding human beings. You know, part of what a lot of people struggle with, part of how people have been damaged in counseling is how people project their own personal experience to other people. And they want to make something law just because that is how it works for them. And you hear things like, oh, if you people will just pray together every morning, your marriage will be perfect. I don't know where that came from. That may be coming from somebody's personal experience. Under the FSC approach, first of all, you are all the things that sort of reduce our humanity in us is taken away. You understand where people are coming from. You understand that, you know, their significant emotional experience, their upbringing, and all of that takes part in becoming, you know, is part of what has shaped them to become who they are. And that it is not enough to say, oh, I am now born again, I'm a new creation in Christ Jesus, all things are passed away. That is true spiritually. In actual reality, it is not true. And it is a journey to make that spiritual truth become a reality. But that journey, you cannot go on it by denying that past. That's part of what FSC taught us. Also, under FSC, we have what is called Oyela. I mean, honestly speaking, that in itself alone is a game changer. It just gives you a template for understanding people in manners that, in a way that you may never really understand them if you just sit down and you talk to them for 5 hours, because because we are all unique, we are all human beings, and there are 8 billion of us or whatever, but we understand that every single human being is unique. And therefore, when I sit across the table from someone and I use only my eyes to look at them, I'm only going to see them through the colors of my own eyes. I'm going to be projecting to them based on who I am. But the Oyela gave you a rounded understanding of a human being beyond what you as just one person can decipher. Because it comes from they themselves answering some survey, and and the result is processed in a manner that interprets the results to them and makes them to understand themselves. A lot of time when I go through Oyela with people, a lot of time they are even understanding themselves for the very first time. I mean, that in itself is a big revelation, because if you don't understand yourself, how can somebody understand you? You can't come to me and say, my husband does not understand me, nobody understands me, when you yourself, you don't even understand yourself, and you are supposed to be the one to even help people to understand you. So it just gives you a tool to be able to stand under instead of standing above, to understand this person in a somewhat scientific way. And when I read it to people, before you finish, say, oh, that's me. Oh, sometimes people are laughing because they can just see themselves in that picture. It's almost, the name Oyela just fits, that template very well. Just that capacity to understand human being beyond prejudices, beyond guesswork, beyond you, just interjecting your own experience into their life is one game changer that Oyela brought into our counsel. And also, it significantly reduces counseling time and counseling stress. Any pastor will tell you counseling can be stressful, especially if you do not know the FSC approach. One of the things that drove me to FSC was how I was almost getting depressed because of my interaction with people who are struggling in their relationship. I mean, like I said, a lot of pastors are passionate and we have good intentions and all of that. And you sit with this couple, you say, oh, we must crack this marriage thing today. and then they are talking and talking, and your head is turning, and you are there 2 hours, 3 hours. The issue is not even moving forward. You know, Oyela and other tools just empowers you to dive into the conversation in a manner that creates clarity. Because when you don't have clarity, we can't even make any progress. So, yeah, I mean, I can keep on going, but you know, those are ways by which FSC has impacted our capacity to be a blessing to people.
FSC approach help you get clarity on time, and it would not make the work overwhelming, because it will help you see and help people know that their map is not the territory. You don't want to sit and be the Lord and the Savior, whatever I say. You don't, like Pastor Sheon said, that's one of the reasons why some people don't even want to talk to pastors, because pastor will just be, it will pick the fact that I'm not born again enough in this thing that I'm going through. So let the pastor be. But with the FSC approach, you know, it will help every human that is going to be engaged in counseling work to understand that, see, your map is not the territory. This person would have gone through, Pastor Sheon Afolayan said something about the effects of the upbringing and all. You know, from that perspective, you're able to see where the problem is easily, and you're able to know what to do to help your clients or whoever you are interacting with. And this understanding, I think it was also, I think it was Mommy Mo that said something about it, first of all, transforms you and makes life easier for you. And so you start seeing things differently. You start seeing things differently. And so there won't even be a need, even in your parenting work, there won't be a need to impose on that child, because you understand that, like Dima said, this child came into this world with tabula rasa, plain slate. And whatever that child is doing, you are the one that put it knowingly or unknowingly. Saying that we, for our generation, we are the consequence of our parents' way of life. And this new generation, they are the consequence of our own way of life. And so we want to look at it that, okay, what have we done wrong? And so you want to think and process. And this is part of the things that the family systems engineering helps us to understand and see and guide us in taking steps in the right direction. This question here goes to Mrs. Ehirim. I think you've said something about it, but I want you to really expatiate and explain, are there specific techniques that have proven successful in promoting inclusivity, looking at incorporating the principles of FSC into your curriculum and the activities you engage with?
Okay. I can give a very practical illustration. When I created the community and I began to see that, one, the FSC approach is good when you use it one-on-one with couples, but the cost of the practitioner's time makes it unaffordable for a lot of the people who actually need it. So one of the things that we had to do was to ask ourselves, one, how can we lower the cost and reach people who can afford it? I mean, reach people with what they can afford, especially at a time where it is most critical, which is when people are still single and they haven't even chosen a partner. And so what we did was the conversations we had on Facebook. And, you know, for any practitioner who is there, I'm sharing this so that you can know, at the times that we were having those conversations in the Facebook group in 2016, 2017, I never knew that there were things that we were going to go back to. But one of the things that social media, especially the ones that promote community, does for you is that the conversations that you have had are forever live. And so you can always send somebody back there to go and use it. So all of those conversations where people that become accustomed, so you see a conversation where like 100 people participated and they were civil. When somebody goes to read it, automatically they're acquiring the culture that was put there. So we had all of that. Then we had the FSC community infusion modules. That is understanding humanity, understanding culture and reinvention, understanding your engineering, and understanding your personality. Then we had the FSC assessment, which we just modified to also assess relationship readiness. And all this program was created collaborating with other practitioners. So I thought it up. I had the Right Fit Marriage Academy, but I had the privilege of having Amina Yunus Alice working with me, Ofonime Basi, and we all put these things together, and it crashed the costs of preparing people for marriage. It reduced it to 1/10, but essentially, when all of these people then came into the program for the 12 weeks, they were able to have the same effect to a reasonable extent that you will have if you were doing one-on-one preparation with people. What is more, sitting in class with other people helped them to see that nothing was wrong with them. They just were the product of their upbringing. I think the most, the module that shakes them all up and makes them to really understand what has happened to them is the understanding your engineering module. One, it helps them to understand how they became who they are. And then two, it awakens them to the fact that when I meet somebody, in fact, I think the thing that happened, the best things that happened to me in that Get Yourself Ready for Marriage program is having two people who midway through the program went and broke the relationship with the people they were dating and actually said to them, it's not good for us to continue because we don't fit one another. And then the last one was a lady who said, I looked at him, I like him, there's a lot of things about him, but when I looked at what I learned about my engineering, and I started applying that to him, I realized that me and him cannot go together. And so the FSC principles are a very powerful approach. The problems in our community, they are not insurmountable. I like the global approach to things, wanting to influence people, wanting policies to be done. I have worked in government before, and as fantastic as government is only as good as the human beings in it. And the human beings in it all have not been properly engineered. And so any effort that is applied at helping people, helping individuals to understand their engineering, I tell people, I don't do marriage counseling because I want people to be happy in their marriage. I don't even do marriage counseling because I want people to remain married. I do marriage counseling because I now understand that marriage is a critical platform for building the community. How so? Before a child is 10, a child has already been scripted to understand marriage. Whatever they understood by living with the people that they live with in their community stays inside them. When we see it is when they begin to live with another person in marriage, by which time it is too late. What if we help people to have an understanding of marriage that is separate from what it delivers to them? So instead of waiting to teach people marriage and say, if you want your marriage to be good, if you want to enjoy your marriage, if you want to enjoy your relationship with your partner, there is a place for that. But there is a much bigger need to understand that marriage is even if I'm not interested in your marriage, once there is a crisis in your marriage, it creates a problem for me. So I'm not, if you know, I explain to young people, for example, that you don't like your parents' culture, you don't do a lot of things, but to please your parents, you agree to a traditional marriage. What's happening in the traditional marriage? If the mother of the man stood and accepted that you are handing your daughter over to me, why will I not poke my nose into what is happening in your home? I'm not poking my nose into what is happening in your home because I'm a poke noser. I'm poking my nose into what is happening in your home because I have a responsibility to be accountable for the vow I took before the parents of your bride, that I will take care of what is happening in your home. But do we teach people to understand the implications of what they're doing? For me, the family systems engineering approach, what is beautiful about it is that it says, don't just embrace anything. Ensure that you understand what you are embracing. That's one. And then for those of us who are passing on things, don't just pass things on to people. Help them to understand the reason why those things are important for them. And so behind everything we do in the Right Fit Marriage Academy is a realization that I don't want people to just accept the principles. I want them to so own them that even if I am not there, when they are passing it on, they will pass it on in a way that is, that the people understand. What are we doing now? Right now, we are collaborating with other practitioners because I am 64. On my next birthday, I'll be 65. If God grants me life, I will have another 30 years to live. If in his wisdom, he decides that I should go at 65, should the Right Fit Marriage Academy crash because I'm not there? No. For it not to crash, that is what we're teaching in the family systems engineering circles, that whatever it is we know builds the community. Let it not crash with us. And for it not to crash with us is not just informing people, is actually discipling people, not teaching, discipling people, not instructing. Discipling people means that by the time the person leaves you, they be saying, this is little mommy mo. Just like they said, Christians are little Christs.
Wow. Wow. Once again, Mommy Mo, I want to say well done, and thank you for all you do. Guys, I can't see in the chat. Mommy Mo is doing a lot. She's done so well, She said a lot this afternoon, and Pastor Sheon too had said a lot. We have seen how family systems engineering approach is making impact in the society. I can see Steve Ayeyo saying that the approach has made the work easier for him and how that it has helped him to even see his biases. And this is what family systems engineering approach does. It has helped with what the Right Fit Academy is doing, it has helped to prevent divorce, because when those people see that, oh, this person, the way he's engineered, I don't think we will be able to go on this journey. This is the plan I have for my life. And this guy is not fitting in at all. That has also helped to save life. And the children they would have brought into life if they had gone ahead, So it has helped to solve a lot of problems. And this is what family systems engineering approach has done. As we round up, I think I'll just take only one question, and that will be for PF. PF, as we look towards the future, how do you envision the family systems approach continuing to contribute to building even more inclusive societies and communities? Mommy Mo had already said she started bringing in people into the Right Fit Academy, such that by the time she's not there, people will see others working in that environment, say, this is little Mommy Mo. See, this thing we talk about the Bible and all is a culture, way of life. And this is the way of life she's passing on to another generation. So PF, how do you envision the FSC approach in continuing to contribute to the building?
No, I'm already, the future is already here. I'm excited when I see what Elevation Church is doing. Elevation Church, by the way, is the first church in Nigeria that put all their pastors in a room for us to take the model, right? And they didn't just do that, they've gone ahead and implement. The good thing is that we have practitioners in different countries of the world. Some of my friends from Ghana are on this call, and I'm excited that they are really excited about the FSC model. I believe that we're moving into new phases where we're not just doing the counseling or the coaching or the therapy part. It's now showing up in movies. I know of some groups of practitioners who are getting into the movie industry already, shooting movies, because you can disciple people faster through movies. But we also need people who are going to get into politics, who are going to shape policies. I've been part of a few policies in a few African countries, and it's always very interesting to see, that what people call crises are just very, very simple stuff that if you embrace root cause analysis, you can literally figure out what is going on and create intervention, right? So the future is such that where we live it out as a culture. When people see the product of a family that actually embraced that system, they know that this person is different, because then you can relate with people intentionally, you can love people genuinely, and you can build a society that is fit for all, right? Our world is in crisis, is in pain, and only love can heal the broken, right? So we need more people who have that love at the core of what they do, so that when they get into the place of work, they're not going to cheat the customers. When they get into a position of power, they are going to serve the society, knowing fully well that what goes into their pocket is less compared to the legacy and the name they leave behind, right? So it's basically re-engineering a new tribe of human beings whose parenting, whose marital life, whose singleness is totally different. And when we do that, like we say, I'm wearing Ubuntu, which is the motto of the Institute. It's an African philosophy that says, I am because you are. There is no me without you. And whatever I do against you, I do against myself. Here in the diaspora, for example, I don't know the difference between a Ghanaian or a Cameroon or a Togolese or whatever. Once I see my Black people, it doesn't matter what country they're from, they're my people. My doors are open. We talk about things. How can we position? How can we help? How can we support one another? That is what we need to do, right? And that's what I think the future is, where we all take the message, put it in our family, raise children who have that ideology, and they go ahead to transform our world. Because in the future of our world, there's going to be a lot of pain, a lot of hatred, but we'll also have people who are the happiest people, who have a lot of love in their heart, and they are the ones who will be able to bring healing to the world. Thank you very much, Epolowo.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much, PF. Thank you, Pastor Shenwa Folayon. Thank you, Bobby Mo. Congratulations and well done for all you do for humanity. I really appreciate and enjoy the panel session, and I wish you all the very best in all that you do. Thank you, everyone that has been dropping comments in the chat box, in the chat section. If you are an associate or a practitioner, certified practitioner of the family systems engineering, can you please just drop something about your experience, the beautiful things that you have experienced? Can you just drop it? Thank you for appreciating the panelists. But I want to read from those of us that are associate or certified. I see somebody saying that family systems engineering has helped. Yeah. So somebody said it has helped. It's there. I think it has scrolled past. And we've talked about the family systems engineering approach. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for staying to this time. I want to believe this is worth your time. Family systems engineering approach does not impose. It helps you understand human beings. It helps you deal with your prejudice. It helps you bypass conscious resistances, and you're able to help people without them holding back. because you bypass their conscious resistance. It contains healing. It brings healing and helps you get clarity in all that you do. Family systems engineering helps you to, so all we ask that it helps you take the message, you take it back to your children, implement it in your home, and together we build an awesome society. It contains, the re-engineering is raising new tribe of human beings who will live their life based on love. You know, when PF said that, I just remembered growing up how that we don't even know who is Muslim or Christians. You know, we sit together, we observe their fast and break their fast with them, and they also eat our now. We say that family systems engineering can help foster love, promote love in our environment. Thank you very much, everyone. At this point, I want to invite Dima Unwobi, the Director of Academics of the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, as she tells us about the Family Systems Engineering certification. Welcome back, Dima. I yield the mic to you.
Thank you, Eboluwa, for that. And I want to say thank you again to Praise for Wowe and to our esteemed panelists, Modube Hirim and Pastor Sheung. Thank you that we can all increase not only inclusiveness, but really increase harmony, peace across our lives and across our societies. And I'm seeing a lot of people asking questions like, oh, what if, must we always promote inclusivity? Are there areas or times when we should not talk about inclusivity? It's important that we recognize that at the foundation of inclusivity is dignity of humans. All right. And so what dignifies a human being is what we're interested in. And truly, the best time to install family systems engineering is even before you get married. So I thank Mommy Mo for bringing that up, because when we start right, we create a good foundation for going forward. That does not also mean that if you're already in a situation, you cannot unlearn. Remember the case study that PF shared with us about the Ibrahim family. It like they were in crisis, but they diligently stayed true. And if you were paying attention, it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't a day. I'm sure he shared that helping the family to come to the current level of harmony personally and together as a community took months to build. So I want to invite you, if you're curious on learning more about yourself and how we can change the world together, then is the Family Systems Engineering certification process. And it's interesting also that you can take this ideology, this approach to schools and begin to teach the handlers of the children, because once a child is 7 years, their values formation is already done. So we're not even waiting to reach out to only married couples per se. We're reaching out to institutions. If you are a stakeholder, a decision maker in churches, just like Elevation Church and some of the churches have embraced it, you are a decision maker in schools, in organizations. These days, we're also taking family systems engineering ideology to workplace, because it's the person who is who is empowered that can also add value to the workplace. So what is the certification process about? It is where we take you through all of these things that you've heard. You get to learn how to administer, analyze, and make recommendations based on the psychometric tools that we will share with you. You also would get to know how people are engineered, our different perceptions to life, what to do, and the tools that can even help you on the streets. I know that a lot of people are talking about trauma, childhood trauma, and all of that, but people don't even know, do I have unresolved childhood trauma? But in FSC, we have a simple tool, just the jar of life tool, or even going through the tree of life tool, can help you recognize if there are unresolved trauma for yourself and for your clients, and lots of other tools that can help you. So FSC is a really immersive training, and we have the next class coming up in September 29th. And so I think admin has shared the link. If you're interested in learning the tools that can help you to a very large extent accurately diagnose what the situation is with your clients, FSC is what you need to get. If you also want to help families, organizations, activate family systems in their home, this is also a certification you need. I think it was Joseph, I saw his question, who was saying, so what if things have gone bad? How do we get them back together? All right. It's also in family systems, because you have to know how to have a feed-forward loop. You also have to know how to problem solve as a family and co-agreed. So I tell you, whether you started right, whether things have gone bad along the way, there is provision in the family systems engineering approach that can help you. So please take on that opportunity. Join us for the next certification process, where you're going to have seasoned practitioners share with you, teach you, mentor you. And there are many unique things about the Family Systems Engineering certification course that is taught by the Institute. I am a sucker for learning. Whilst you're in the training, you get assigned a dedicated mentor in a small community to help you master the tools. And this mentor does not leave you after the 3 months in class. You still have access to this mentor pro bono 3 months after you have completed your class. I must tell you, that is a rare to find, but it just speaks to the heart with which we have in the Institute to say that if family is the production center of the society, we want to give our best to help you master the approach so that you can go out there first, transforming yourself, transforming your immediate society, your immediate family, and society at large. So please, if you're interested, join us. I look forward to welcoming you in class on the first day. And I'm sure Praise for Wowe and the rest of the team are also eager to welcome you, because together we can recreate Africa. Together we can change our lives, change our communities, change our nation. But it starts first by understanding how we were engineered and what to do to re-engineer ourselves, how we can also create systems. I like to always say to people, you see the idea of creating family systems, it is the joker for anybody, especially in this time and age where there's so much happening. We're so busy, there's so much things needing your attention. You cannot parent your children on the go without having a system. Otherwise, you'll be overwhelmed, you'll be drained, and you will not be able to measure your progress. I give you a story to stop them to end this. Admin, please, somebody is asking for the cost. So you want to drop what the cost is, and if there is any provision for any discount or whatever for people who are signing up within the next 48 hours. So please help us do that. So I give you a story. And to say that family systems really works, okay? And I remember even when our oldest daughter is 19, and even when she was 3, 4, part of the family system activation for us was in the morning, their father, who is also a certified practitioner, would bless them. And then they would repeat the family vision, mission, and core values. And then they will step out to school. And that continued up until the time that they grew and said, okay, they wanted us to tweak the family vision so that they can have representation. But something interesting happened. My daughter went to a school, and then the students, she just found out that people were like, murmuring and being in groups without including her. And then she later found out from someone who said that there was some plans as to how to do something that was akin to examination malpractice. And somebody said, please don't involve her, because if you involve her, that is how this thing will scatter. Because with her interaction with them, they already knew what she represented and what she wouldn't do. Then she goes on to university, and certain things are being taught in school. And she comes home to say to us, you know what, when they were just saying that, I was like, I'm a Wobi now. I'm a member of Tindima Nedum Nation. So I already knew that. So if you are afraid, will my children be dented when they mix up with society? The way you can foolproof that is by getting family systems engineering, so that you can learn how to create your family systems that will guide your children anywhere, irrespective of the influence that is upon them. So I think that is the much I can say. I wait for you in class, and I'm really super excited that you all turned up and stayed here. And I can't wait to welcome you on the 29th of September, where we can all keep working together to keep transforming ourselves, our families, and society at large. Eboluwa, over to you.
Thank you very much, Director of Academics or the Institutes, Madam Dima Nwobi. And thank you everyone for staying to the end of this. I'm sure you're reading in the chat box experiences of people. Shakira said, joining FSC is the best decision I took this year. It's not only helped my practice, but my personal life. And these are the kind of testimonies we have from people who are taking FSC. Deji Showmi said, FSC is the gospel. It is love. It is acceptance. It is understanding. And that is it. So the announcement has been made by Dima, and the links have been dropped. Admin, could you please drop your phone number, drop the admin number on the group so that people can reach out. Guys, if you are interested, yeah, somebody said FSC is a workable solution. Workable solution, yes, absolutely. Admin, please drop your number, the links. Okay, the link is there. The next class begins in September 29th. Plan to attend. I'm sure there are payment plans, and that's why I'm asking that she drops the phone number so that you can interact with her. Somebody said, what if certification is not needed? Why would you not want the certification? And this certification is recognized anywhere. You can't be sure where you would need it. And so, yeah, only for knowledge. The certification is just the paper, so you can come and get the knowledge, and you will enjoy it. We have people who don't do their own place and all, and they just say they want to get it for knowledge sake. So you can get it and apply it in your home. Yeah, you can do that. So reach out to the admin. Reach out to the admin. Yeah, somebody is responding already. You will love the knowledge part too. Very, very, very interesting. Thank you very much, everyone. And with this, we come to the end of this quarter's public lecture. And I believe we all have gained and are ready to go out there to implement some of the things. And if you're not already a certified member, feel free to call the number that has been dropped in the chat box and reach out to the admin. Thank you once again, the grandfather, praise for Wowe, for this opportunity, for this privilege. Thank you, Institute of Family Engineering and Development. Thank you, Mrs. Modupe Ehirim. Thank you, Mr. Sheung Afolayan, for sharing and for the work that you do. Thank you. Have a beautiful rest of the day, beautiful rest of the month.